Hi, this is Dovid Orlofsky. Welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Whether you're watching on Torah anytime, or wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts, it's so nice to have you around and along for this wonderful journey of ours. I can't believe it's only been a year and a half, and we're already approaching our second Pesach program, which will be starting in the next episode. And that's going to go on. So we threw in some extra shows, keep people busy while they're cleaning for Pesach to help you get it through. Because sometimes when you listen to things, it makes it a little easier. Whistle while you work. Okay, you get the idea. Anyway, I remember when I was taking Lamaze with my wife, and to this day, I still do the breathing better than she does. But I remember one of the first exercises they gave us was to tighten your arm and hold it for 1 minute. And you just stood there. Next time they said, okay, tighten your arm. And they didn't tell us how long it was going to be the first time. They said, okay, it's going to be for 60 seconds, okay? You can do this. It's already 10 seconds in. Try breathing while you're doing it. You know, is that? And at the end, they finished. They said, which one was easier? I said, of course, the second one. Because you knew what was going to happen, and you were distracted, and you weren't focusing on the pain. The same thing is definitely true about getting ready for Pesach. It's totally overwhelming. If instead you make a plan, it always makes it easier, so you know what to expect. And of course, if you listen to the Rabbi Orlofsky show while you're cleaning, it'll add so much. You'll suddenly find yourself cleaning with a spring in your step, which definitely helps for spring cleaning. Anyway, my producer pointed out that I haven't done a recipe in a very long time. And the answer is because I don't make those many things. Every week I try. My wife gets every From publication that comes out, you know, the Rebbitzon's Home Journal, she gets Bad Housekeeping, everything. She subscribes to everything that's out there, you know. New England Journal of Schmoozing, whatever's out there, she subscribes to it. She reads them all. So I always flip to the recipe section, and I read through these recipes, and I always say to myself, Baruch Shalo Asani Goy. Why would you do 6 steps to do something that I can do in 3? For a vos. Anyway, that's my own personal thing. I make a lot of wonderful soups, and I look at their soup recipes. And why? For the love of God, why? So you want me to give a recipe? I haven't given you a recipe, so I realized I can give you my cholent recipe. That is not my mother's cholent recipe. I don't know what my mother's cholent recipe is, but I thought I'd give you a cholent recipe, and I have to tell you, I don't really have a cholent recipe. Because it's determined on 2 factors. One is how big you want it to be, and the second one is what you have. Those are 2 very important issues. Andy Rooney, I don't know if anybody remembers Andy Rooney. He used to do this bit on 60 Minutes. And I remember one time I saw a clip, and it was talking about recipes. He says, why do recipes always have to include at least one thing that they know you don't have? You know you don't have, and there's no chance of you ever finding it, you know? So you have to wander around like Asian markets. I mean, come on. Yeah, so I'm a big believer in if it's not there, you probably don't need it, yeah? And that's why it must have been about 6 years ago that I bought celery salt. I bought celery salt because I had this coleslaw recipe, and it says you have to add celery salt. And I went and bought celery salt, and it's been sitting in my cabinet for 6 years. I fight with my wife and my cleaning woman every single week because they love to throw out expired things. And I say, you know, the only thing that you throw out when it's expired are people. Otherwise, you keep them. You know? People think, you know, the cottage cheese, I'm a day past it. If I eat it now, it's going to be spoiled. It's already spoiled. My gosh, it's yogurt. How much more spoiled is it going to get? Could you imagine throwing out sour cream because it turned sour? But anyway, But there's a mistake. Medicines, as soon as it passes the date, they throw away the medicines. What do you think happened to it? It doesn't explode. You understand? So it will not, they cannot guarantee it will be as potent past that date. But, unfortunately, my words fall on deaf ears. There's no time release thing that's built into these things that they know for sure. Yeah. Seinfeld used to say, what do they get expiration date? Like a milk. When they're milking the cow, does it go, Tuesday the 3rd? Jot it down. I don't know. But anyway, so that's part of it. So here's my standard and medium size pot. I use a crock-pot. I put something down separating the container from the pot to raise it up a little bit for halakhic purposes. I then put in probably about 1.5 cups of water, and then I put in a plastic bag. Many people do not like to cook it in the plastic bag. They feel it's unhealthy. Many people don't clean the cholent pot. That's why they don't care. You understand? I have a son. He loves to cook. He creates an absolute wreck in the kitchen, and then he leaves. When I was younger, and I still cared, and I used to teach my children, all of my older children know, first rule of cooking is clean up before you start, clean up when you're done. That's the first rule of cooking. But, okay, like I say, I find cleaning the cholent pot to be more energy exerted than whatever's going to happen to me from the plastic in the plastic bag. But anyway, excuse me just a second. I'm going to do that again. Thank you. This is actually, you can see inside there, this is one of the drinks I grew up in, tea with milk and sugar. It's really quite English. But when I was growing up, we used to do that all the time. We always said, it took me years till I saw people drink tea without milk. But tea with milk and sugar. And we'd all sit around the table and we'd go like this. And my mother would go, could you stop it? But I think it's an essential part to the drinking of this particular type of tea. Yeah. I used to get I went to the doctor. I told him I get a pain in my eye whenever I drink tea, and he told me take the spoon out of the cup. Anyway, that's also good advice. So what do I do? So I put it in the plastic bag, and then I slice up a medium onion. I don't know what a medium onion is. It means tzadashava. You know what a small onion is. You know what a large onion is. So one that's not that. It's a medium onion. So after I add the 1.5 cups of water to the liner of the crock-pot, to the pot of the crock-pot, yeah, then I put the plastic bag in and I put it over the sides. Very important. I do not turn on the crock-pot until afterwards, because otherwise the plastic bag tends to melt onto the side of the crock-pot. You know how hard that is to get off? If you do, then you know already. You feel my pain. Anyway, so now I've got the plastic liner inside of the liner pot of the crock-pot. Everyone still with me? I can give you a recipe to make it inside of a very large pot, like for a simcha, but part of the requirement is to burn the bottom layer, and it's almost impossible to clean out, and they don't make plastic bags that big. Anyway, I slice up a medium onion. What's a medium onion? Well, if you have a small one, you know what a small onion is, and you know what a large onion is. One that's not that, yeah? Slice it up and put it on the bottom of the pot. You should slice it up along the hemisphere. I got news for you. If you don't, it's also fine. And then you put in the meat. What is the meat? When I was in America, we used flanken, the way God meant for it to be used. Cholent. Come to Israel, no one will ever tell you what flanken is. Every butcher you go to tells you something else and tells you that it's flanken. You can get the cubed up stew meat or cholent meat. I'll never find that it makes a really great cholent personally. If you get this little piece of meat that's called an 8 olive. I don't know what it is, because here in Israel, we don't give names to the cuts of meat. When I was in America, you'd have a silver tip, a minute steak roast, rib roast. Here it just has numbers: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 8 olive. So this is the entrance around the back of the cow, evidently, where you take that. And it was built after they finished the numbering. They had an 8 olive. And stick it in between. Anyway, so if you put in one of those pieces like that, it's perfect. Comes out soft, comes out great. Delightful. Anyway, so you put in your meat. And then you put in your potatoes. How many potatoes? It depends. If some of my grandchildren are coming, you have to put in between 15 and 35 potatoes, because that's all they do is they eat potatoes. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how many potatoes they take, it's not enough. And surprisingly, they usually eat it. So I can't tell you how many potatoes to put in. It all depends on your crowd. But if you want a solid number, like you want just an average, 6 potatoes. How many? 6 medium potatoes. What's a medium potato? Well, this is a small one, and this is a big one. So anything that's in between those two are medium potatoes. Now, if you're daring and you have that sense of adventure, keep them whole. If you don't, then cut them into pieces. Because when you cook them whole, sometimes they don't all get cooked all the way. And there's nothing worse than having a hard potato and a cholent. And then you add the beans and barley. How much barley? Like this. I'll do that again. You have to shake it around like that. How much is that? I have no idea. If I was actually writing a cookbook, I would keep a little container on top of it, and I would shake it around and then measure it. I don't know. Half a cup? Half a cup of barley. Yeah? Some people like to put in more barley. When you put in more barley, it comes out much harder. If you don't put in enough barley, it comes out watery. Yeah. So you have to put in barley enough. Anyway, then you put in the beans. Now, there's a guy who makes a cholent in Muncie at a gas station. Yeah, it's an obvious joke. Go in and get gas, right? That's the joke. Everybody's been telling this joke for 50 years. Anyway, I saw him once interviewed, and he says, where did this idea of red beans come from? You never put in red beans. You only put in white beans. Okay. Oh, but the minhag olam is you put in red and white beans. Here in Israel, they actually sell what they call a cholent mix. And it's basically white beans and red beans mixed together, because until that major development in the history of cholent, I used to buy a bag of white beans and a bag of red beans, and I'd shake in some of each. But now you don't have to do that anymore. How many beans? Half a cup. If you are one of those really organized people, soak them the night before. It's unbelievable. I don't do that, because at some point, my wife says, did you make the cholent? And I'm like, So I certainly wasn't thinking the night before to go and soak beans. Now, if you live in America, this is what I do when I visit America. They have this thing called 15 bean mix for bean soup. Personally, I'm not a fan of bean soup. When I have a soup that has beans in it, I usually eat around them. So on the end, there's a whole little layer of beans at the bottom of my bowl, so. But there's something called soup bean mix, 15 bean mix, and I put in probably about a half a bag of that. I sprinkle it around. It has all kinds of different types of beans, and it certainly makes for a more interesting cholent. I don't add salt. The meat's salty. And what I do add is I add onion soup mix. And I know we talked about this when I was talking about my onion soup, how I don't believe in onion soup mix. I don't believe in onion soup mix for onion. But for other things, it could be used. It has a lot of artificial things, and it's not very healthy. No. Trust me, if what kills you is the onion soup mix, then you have lived a very, very good life. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to lay to rest Harry, who died from onion soup mix. Trust me, you won't go that way. I guarantee it. I'll sign off on it. If you do, I will go up to Shemayim and demand that they put you back down. die for onion soup mix, unless you have an allergy. If you have an allergy, there's nothing to do about it. Yeah, people have peanut allergies. Okay, so what do you want from me? Okay, that's an allergy. I'm not talking about allergy. I'm talking about regular people. A little monosodium glutamate, so what? Makes your head blow up, so what? It's good for you. Marchivas hadas. You can't even buy MSG anymore? I've gone to like 3 stores. I can't find MSG. Anybody finds any, let me know. I like to put it in other people's food. Just to see them get a little excited. Anyway, I add a little onion soup mix. I add a little bit of garlic, a little black pepper, and paprika. How much paprika? No. Again, sprinkle around the top. And that's my classic cholent. And now we come to the issue that has challenged cholent makers for thousands of years. And that is, this is the standard cholent. Now you add water just enough to cover. Yeah. My wife makes homemade kishka. I don't have the recipe for it. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll do it in a future podcast. But you put your kishka on the top, fill up water just to cover. We turn it on high until just before Shabbos. Then we turn it down to low. And you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. If you do this in a pot, you put everything. It's a much more complicated process. We'll talk about cholent in a pot another time, maybe. I'm so sick of talking about this already. Anyway, so now here comes the real issue. Because there is a dramatic variation. Some people believe this was actually introduced by the Karaites. And that is to add honey and ketchup. It's a different type of a cholent. Yeah. How much ketchup? Well, if you're using the Osem bottle of ketchup, it's about 3 squirts. But I mean, goes into squirts. I don't mean like a, understand? Like a, and if you don't hear the sound, you're doing it wrong. How much honey? Like this. Because you have to wait till it stops dripping down the side over there, and that's how much honey you put in. Okay? Now, these are not exactly scientific numbers, but it's an amazing thing. There are a lot of people who complain because it shouldn't be sweet. Cholent should have that like cholent taste to it. And, but it's a variation. People love it. I don't know. I just find people love it. There are those people who put in sweet potatoes. There are people who put in Italian spices and bay leaves. There are people who make it, I mean, obviously with Pesach coming up, how creative can you be? It's potatoes and it's meat. One year somebody said to me, well, you can't put in, I'm speaking now, of course, to the Ashkenazic audience, you can't put in beans, So they put in almonds. I did this one year. And the whole family had heartburn for the rest of Pesach. It was so painful. I can't even describe it to you. I don't know why. Scientifically, I don't know why. If any of the scientists who I know watch this podcast to get all of their scientific information has done a research on the effect of almonds and cholent on the digestive system, please feel free to share that with us. But I don't know why, but it was a terrible idea. Unless you want to make a stew. You can make a stew. A stew is different. How do you make a stew? Well, you take garlic. How many pieces of garlic? Okay, I got a big pot. That means at least 10 quarts, 12 quarts, yeah? I guess you could do this on a small level, but I come from a family of 6 boys. My mother never made anything small. She didn't know how to make anything small. So I would say pieces of garlic, about 6. Yeah, you don't have to cut them up too fine. Cut them in half, cut them in thirds, whatever. Yeah. About 3 onions, medium onions, sliced. A little oil. Start to brown the garlic, add the onions. And when that starts to get going, now you add the meat, cubed meat. Don't put in a whole piece for this. Cubed meat. And you keep browning it. Keep browning it till it gets kind of brown. Then you add pepper. Don't go crazy, but it's not like a little You know what I'm saying? You have to add a little circle of pepper. and garlic and paprika, very important. The paprika helps a lot. The paprika, and then you keep going, and it's going to get very thick. And then you add a pitcher of water, 2 quarts. You stir it up, wait till it comes to a boil. And then you can add potatoes. You could add carrots, you could add squash, stuff like that. Presumably, you could put in a bay leaf or a bunch of bay leaves. When you were browning the meat, if you want to put a little dry red wine on it, you can never go wrong. Yeah. And then eventually you bring the pot up and you bring it to a boil. But there's people who try to do that with their cholent, but it's very hard to do that, letting it sit on the fire for hours and hours. Anyway, my cholent almost always comes out successfully. People always enjoy my cholent. I haven't eaten it for years. I can't digest it. What can I do? I could probably eat a potato from it, but do you want to become fleshig for the next 6 hours on a potato? So if there's something else over there that's really worth getting fleshig for, because it's a 6-hour commitment. I have commitment problems. Anyway, so but that's for sure as far as that goes. So this is my cholent recipe. I've never had an opportunity to share it with you, and as we get ready for the Pesach program, so a lot of these things are not hard and fast. And if you're like, I don't have any red beans, it's okay. I don't have any white beans, it's okay. I don't have any barley. I've been made to understand you can substitute brown rice. And I would. You know why? I'm not eating it anyway, so what do I care? You can do this. I tried it once because I had somebody who couldn't have potatoes. You can put in kohlrabi instead of potatoes. And it has a very similar texture when you cook it up that way. In fact, we once did slices of kohlrabi with like oil and spices, and you roast it in the oven, and it comes out very close to potatoes. Really close to potatoes if you want. So you have that as an option. If you don't have meat, you can substitute chicken, but it's not a cholent anymore. I don't know what you call it. Some kind of chicken stew or something. I don't know. Try it, see how it goes. What I have done sometimes in the past is I dafka add a lot of water so it becomes soupy, and then I serve the soup. This is another interesting option. I've always wanted to try making a chicken soup in the crock-pot and see how it comes out for Shabbos lunch, but I've never done it. Basically, I would put in the chicken and the vegetables and the water and just let it cook and see what happens. Sounds interesting. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe I will. Anyway, my point was, why did I decide to talk about this week? The truth is because we're going into Pesach. And you have to use up stuff for Pesach. And that's why I say, one of the things, you ever hear the expression, you made a whole cholent out of it? The idea is that you can add stuff to the cholent. There's a certain flexibility. It's not hard and fast. There's room to maneuver. Because you have to start going through, and that's the beginning process as we get ready for Pesach. What do we need and what do we not need? What can I dispose of? Yeah. There are people who do not sell hard liquor. And you can see these people staggering around a couple of weeks before Pesach. As they try to finish the Parenthetically, if you do not sell liquor, don't feel that pressure. You can give it to me. I will make sure that it reaches the right audience. But it's interesting when you start going through, because there is a science to cooking that I don't know. I know this because I had 2 people at my Shabbos table who actually went to cooking school. And they said to me, there's a science to cooking. And if you understand the principles, then you can create your own recipes. I don't know what they are. I try things from time to time, but I'm always very nervous. If I'm trying something that's not one of the recipes that, I have Al Pi Masorah, I have to follow the cookbook just exactly. And that's why there used to be this wonderful restaurant in Lakewood called Taste Buds. I think it was a wonderful restaurant. I never went there. In fact, we bought their cookbook, and we used to make things from it that we loved. And when we made a trip to America, I always make up an itinerary, and I have, whatever it is, the Lakewood Day, the Muncie Day, the Manhattan Day, I plan out everything. I make my itineraries are just so much fun. The kids love them, and they read through them, what we're going to do, where we're going to go. I put in little pictures and stuff. It's so much creativity. It's a pity I don't have a job. But anyway, so we had like to go to Days Buds, and evidently it had closed down, and that kind of threw off our day because that's what we were planning on doing. My family, we could make a half a day of a program out of going out to eat. But anyhow, I know I went to America. Every place we went, my kids had to order sushi and spicy fries. I don't know. We don't have them here in Israel. Oh, we do have sushi, but wherever they go, they have to eat sushi and they have to eat spicy fries. Two things that I cannot understand. French fries are very good. What do you have to put all these spices on them for? Yeah, you're missing something. You're missing something in your life. Yeah. So Taste Buds has these chocolate chip cookie recipe. It's the only one that I know. We use it from there. But she puts in a quarter of a teaspoon of salt or something, and people always complain that it tastes salty. They said, why don't you leave out the salt? And I said, because it's in the recipe. How am I supposed to leave it out? It's written right there on the page. Sheesh. I don't know if you know I don't know if I ever gave across my mother veal with peppers. Did I ever give my veal and peppers? Oh, that's a great one. Anyway, nobody in my family likes green peppers. So I'm making veal and peppers without peppers, but then it's not veal with peppers. My kids say, well, you can make variations. Not with veal and peppers. It's like leaving out the veal. Just have peppers. I don't get it. All right, I'm too old. I have a heart condition. I don't want to get excited. But that's it. Now is the time to be going through your cabinets and saying, what do I have to use up? How can I use it in a creative way? Make myself an interesting cholent. Have a good cholent. Enjoy yourself. Make something special. Make something different. Yeah, there's this tendency as we go into Pesach that as we start to close down, people don't end up eating. It's a big problem. Crock-pot is very helpful because you can mix up stuff and stick it in there at the beginning of the day, and then your hard day of cleaning at the end. Just take out the Crock-pot, and you put in whatever you found around the house, and then throw it out and order takeout, which is what we usually do. But the point is, options, my friends. Creativity to be able to use up whatever's left over as we get ready for Pesach. Cover the entire house in aluminum foil, preferably the very heavy aluminum foil that has the sharp edges. And also buy a lot of Band-Aids. As you slice yourself up on the aluminum foil, which I do every single year. For reasons that are unclear to me. But anyway, because I don't go away for Pesach, because I always say I only go with my whole family. And that's 9 rooms, 20 tickets, and everyone says, well, I shouldn't say everyone. Some people say, I wish we could, but we can't afford that. And some people say, are you out of your mind? And I appreciate that. The third are the people who say, oh, we can work it out. I'll get back to you, and I never hear from them again. Especially this year, there are Pesach programs closing down because of the coronavirus. And you understand what the impression that creates? You understand the crisis? There's now going to be a matzah shortage here in Eretz Yisrael because we were counting on all these people leaving. Now they're all staying here. They're going to take my matzah. So you have to go out and get your matzah right away. Matzah, man. I want to be a matzah. Okay. We talked about all the important things I want to talk about before Pesach. And we're going to start the Pesach program. Next episode. Hope to see you there. And what can I tell you? Have a beautiful month. Wonderful Chodesh. Yeah. Nisan Someach. Yeah. I always thought it was interesting that the mazel of Nisan is the Tle, which is called Aries. Because Nissan made a car called the Aries. Coincidence? Yeah. But anyway, just something to reflect upon. So there are some thoughts as we get ready to talk about something slightly more important. Although let me know if you actually try my cholent recipe. It might be exactly the same as your cholent recipe because there's not a lot of creativity involved over there. You have these people who are like, first brown the meat and then this and then that. Stick everything in the pot and turn it on. It's cholent for crying out loud. Let's not get carried away. Yeah. Okay. So That's the story for this week. If you want more information about this show, like why, for the love of God, why, you can go to RabbiOrlofsky.com. You can add comments, see my upcoming event schedule, which is very light. Contact me directly. You could still join the live shiurim, which are going on all the time. Daf Yomi and Mesilas Yesharim, and they're just the bestest. And but only if you have a camera, because I have a rule. I have to be able to see you. You have to be able to see me, because it's a shiur. Yeah, I always say about this podcast, this is a show and not a shiur. That's a shiur and not a show. A shiur involves interaction. If you'd like to sponsor an episode, go to RabbiOrlofsky.com/sponsor. That's it for this week. I'm Dovid Orlofsky, and this has been the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.